Hello and welcome to The Insider, a show designed to clue you into the biggest news, events and announcements inside the video games industry, discussing with you some things you may know, some things you may not, and the glue that holds it all together is a little bit of my own opinion. My name is Paul James, thank you very much for watching, and let's kick off another episode. The PlayStation Vita. A truly wonderful PlayStation platform is being laid to rest by PlayStation as of March 31st, 2019, where the country will be shuttering all development of PlayStation Vita game cards, and so kind of concludes the era that was the PlayStation Vita that kicked off in February of 2012. In this week's episode of The Insider, we're going to break down what this news means, what's going to be happening, and what you should expect from PlayStation in the future when it comes to the portable platform.
You remember why I got into all this?
Of course I remember.
Well, then why don't you tell me why I've wasted so many years working crap jobs for guys like Dante?
Japanese gamers for a long time have been embracing the mobile platform, or the portable platform, in the form of their mobile phones, the 3DS, the Vita, the Nintendo Switch, but with between 10 to 15 million console sales, as opposed to the 72 million 3DSs, and the landslide performance of the Nintendo Switch at present, and of course the enormity of the mobile platform, it seems that PlayStation can no longer justify support for the PlayStation Vita in the form of physical game cards. Now that does not mean that we are no longer going to see games released on the platform. We will still see plenty of digital releases. Japan themselves are still going to be getting physical game cards for an unspecified amount of time. But in the West, everyone outside of Japan, the end of the PlayStation Vita game card is finally here. And we're going to discuss more of what that means next. The writing was perhaps on the wall for the PlayStation Vita when a few months ago PlayStation came out and reported that as of March 31st, 2019, the Vita, as well as the PS3, which has been superseded 5 to 6 years ago now, was no longer but going to be getting free PlayStation Plus games each month, as was the PS4 and the PSVR via the PS4. Now at that point, maybe alarm bells should have been ringing for a few people, but the hardened PlayStation Vita fan was determined to see that console succeed. And we've still seen excellent games come out in the months even since that initial announcement, such as this week's Stardew Valley finally releasing on the Vita. We had Reverie only a few weeks ago. There are still some excellent games coming to the Vita, but it does seem like now the days of a physical game card are finally over. So it's an interesting time for studios, publishers who've been getting themselves Vita cards stamped. Now a lot of those bigger ones, they'll still release their games digitally, no real problems at all. But what's really interesting is that the likes of limited run games and other publishers who they do special edition game prints, games that were typically only released digitally, but then get themselves a special cartridge for the hardened fans. What does that mean for those companies who do those sorts of releases? Now sure, we're probably going to see that a little bit, we're still going to see that happen to PS4 games, we'll see it happen to Xbox and Switch games and all those sorts of things. But the likes of Reverie and potentially Stardew Valley, are we no longer going to get that anymore? Is it impossible for them to get those games stamped? So far that question hasn't really been answered by PlayStation as to what it means. Does it mean that affects everyone? Do you have to pay an extra charge to get those things done? Will PlayStation give those publishers the means to do it themselves? All that's still up in the air at the moment, but certainly at this point, it's looking pretty bleak for anyone who wants to own a physical copy of any game released on the PlayStation Vita. So if you like those limited run games releases, you better get on them real quick, pick up what you want, because we may not be seeing them anymore. When we discuss the Vita and what it's meant and what this event kind of means, we have to look at what's happening with the Nintendo Switch at present. The Nintendo Switch has picked up many of the aspects that made the Vita so popular, so beloved, and amplified it significantly based on the sheer power and weight of the Nintendo name on a console that is also portable. The Vita was fantastic for indies. Independent studios were able to release their games that may previously have only been available on PC, and they've now placed them on a portable platform. And that portable platform allowed you to take the likes of SteamWorld Dig out with you, SteamWorld Heist out with you, Stardew Valley out with you, and many, many more that were otherwise confined to a TV screen or a computer screen. Now, we saw lots and lots of these games over the journey. Stardew Valley is certainly a more recent one. But it was fantastic what the PlayStation Vita allowed, with enough grunt, enough support to these independent studios, games that were otherwise inaccessible to anyone who wanted to play them on the road whilst they're sitting on a train or a plane on their way to work or on a holiday or whatever it is. That was now possible courtesy of the Vita, and now the Switch. And I think the prevalence and success of the Switch is really what has brought the Vita to a standstill. It wasn't flying anyway, but it's now finally over. On the flip side, what is really interesting, and this is now the Nintendo space, is the fact that Nintendo, in the same week that PlayStation announced the death of the Vita, has revealed that they are doing a portable-only version of the Switch itself. Now, technically, all that is just they're not bundling a dock in with the system, but it's clear that Nintendo is now leaning further into the fact that the Switch, as well as being a home console, and that's certainly what they've marketed it as for the entirety of this console's life so far, is now being looked at as more of a portable platform as well. And with the games like Pokemon on the way, that's sure to mean extra sales, extra promotion, extra emphasis on that portable aspect in the future. And a lot of that is thanks to the Vita. So rest in peace, PlayStation Vita. It's been a good run.
PlayStation.
So that concludes another episode of The Insider. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing. All those buttons are down below here, and by doing so, you'll get access to episodes of The Insider, Player 2 Plays, Patched, The Video Games Club, The Late Game Review, and heaps more awesome content that can only be found at our YouTube channel, so please make sure to go and check it out. For written content, make sure to visit the website, player2.net.au, where you'll find reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, the Player 2 Writers Draft, and heaps more, all stuff contributed by some awesome talent, some of the best in Australia, so please make sure to go and check it out. You can also find my review of Detroit Become Human, which went live just last night. The embargo's lifted, I can talk about it, it's fantastic. Make sure to go and visit the website, check out the review, tell me what you think. It's available on PS4, maybe go and check it out. We're also on Patreon. Make sure to check us out at patreon.com/player2au and consider kicking in a few dollars. At the lower tiers, you'll get early access to episodes. At some of the higher tiers, you'll get a monthly exclusive episode of Patched or The Insider or something else. And at the top tier, you can join us in the monthly Player 2 podcast. So consider it. There's some awesome tiers there. Maybe there's something for you. For rolling updates, you can find me at PaulJamesP2 on Twitter. The website, you can find at Player2au on Twitter. And until next time, thank you for bearing with my voice. Long live the PlayStation Vita. I'll see you next time.